Alright guys, I think we are live now. So, I've noticed that every single time, we've done about a year's worth of these shows so far. And it seems every single show, it's like a sprint to the starting line with us. Like there's never been a smooth start to the show. We always end up doing some random project, and that like pretty much runs all the way up to the start of this show. So today, what we were doing was messing with our lighting setup. Before we would bring in the lights into the greenhouse every single time and have to set it up every single time. So today we actually got some new T5s, and we kind of installed them all like pretty much right where they're supposed to be. So we just have to flick them on rather than having to like haul them back and forth and whatnot. So I'm glad that you all could make it. Let's see here. Kind of have to get a little bit situated. Let me know if the audio needs to be turned up or turned down. Hopefully you guys can hear me. Right now we have a few people helping us like usual. Robbie is back, and Robbie is helping by operating the camera. Michael is here. Michael's in chat, so when you see any responses from us, it's always going to be him typing. At least 90% of the time, it's going to be him typing. So everybody say hi to Michael. So hello Feroz, hello Entity, hello Joe. I was thinking about having more to drink this live sale, but I'm not gonna. Like I said, I really don't drink all that much, so you guys can have to imagine a drunker version of me. All right. So the other thing that's different is my streaming software had a software update, and I'm always kind of petrified because anytime you update the software, some weird interactions can happen. So if stream suddenly dies or something like that, which is possible, just say so in chat. We'll figure something out. We'll restart the stream. But just keep an eye out for that. We're always fiddling with new technology here, and it doesn't always work out the way I like. Speaking of new stuff, we're doing a complete overhaul in one of our systems, which is, we call it, there's 5 different systems, and the fourth one was due for a major overhaul, and we just got some new tanks. If you follow us on Instagram, we actually posted a picture of the empty tanks when they arrived. Unfortunately, one of them had a leak, so it's not going to be fully operational for a little while. That one tank has to get repaired. But once that gets all up and running, it'll be pretty nice. So yeah, keep an eye on for that. I'm probably going to do an update video where we talk about like the new tanks and kind of why I went about certain things. We're also getting like a new return pump for that system. I was kind of interested in that not Vertex. It's the Ecotech Vectra return pumps, the DC pumps that are controllable. So there's a lot of like weird new features that are possible with that. So once I get that hooked up, we'll talk about that. So anyway. Live show, November. Alright, let's get started. So the first coral here is our Fiji Rainbow. Now I didn't start with the instructions. At about like, I don't know, 20 corals or so in, we'll go over everything. But bear with us for now. Go to TidalGardens.com if you want to purchase some of this stuff. It's under the live sale link. So the first guy here is a Fiji Rainbow Zoa. The first several, at least like close to 15, 20 corals are going to be either Zoas or Palys. Next up is the Purple Death Paly. For whatever reason, these guys have been growing really well for us lately. For a good long time, they weren't doing anything, but suddenly they just exploded in their growth rate. Like I mentioned, we're using T5 lighting mainly to illuminate these guys, and so you're seeing a mix of aqua blue special, which is kind of light or kind of whitish in color, and you're seeing blue plus. Next up, number 3. These are some cat's eye zoas. One thing that I was kind of hoping to do was to show you the difference between the corals under more, I don't know, 10K-ish lighting, as well as under more of an actinic look. And before we would accomplish that by moving lights kind of like back and forth just a little bit, and sometimes it worked better than other times. I think for the next live show, I have an idea where we can just briefly illuminate it under like more of an actinic look, really briefly. Excuse me. So you guys can at least get some variation in color temperature, because I'm sure a lot of you are kind of curious what it might look like under different lighting paradigms. Yeah, Dennis, sorry, I'm not drinking today. Like I'm telling you guys, I really don't drink a lot. I was thinking maybe I'd get a bottle of wine this time. Just didn't happen. Any Black Friday sales? Kaylee, no, we don't really do the Black Friday thing at all. I kind of get freaked out by the whole concept. It's like all those like Walmart trampling videos. It's not so much into that. Number 4, let's go on. These are some of the Mantis Zoas. We've got a couple of this. 4, and then next one, 5, are both Mantis. They're slightly different in coloration. Or wait, no. I'm wrong. It's just 4. I thought there's a Mantis, but maybe it's coming up later. Let's see. Dan Lee. My Pocillopora seems like a few polyps have bailed out. Is it at all or nothing, or can a few polyps bail out? A few polyps can bail out. It's not a good sign that they're doing that. Generally speaking, they only do that if they're really stressed. So I would kind of pay a little bit extra attention to your water chemistry and see if something's up. Okay. Number 5. Let's move on. This is our second Fiji Rainbow. Matt Dyer. Ugh, I wish we had a store like this in New Zealand. I wish I could vacation New Zealand for a little while. It seems like you guys have some pretty cool places to visit. Alright, moving on to number 6. It's a small frag of the Fiji Solars. What's kind of interesting about this particular coral right now is that the centers are starting to take on different colors. So the one on the left and the right kind of have like an orange center, whereas the one in the middle kind of has a teal colored center. BJ Nunn, Dan, can we do store pickup? Yes. Just select local pickup / live sale until you're done shopping, and then once you're done shopping, just send me an email and we'll set up an appointment for you to come in. Pablo, we do have some acroporas, and I think a couple of them are green. Our acros are just now starting to look like they're not brown and dead. Okay, number 7. These are the Eagle Eye Zoas. Think of setting up a 12-gallon nano. How much salt? It depends on the salt. Certain ones are more concentrated than others. You have to kind of follow the directions and see what you need. Usually it's like, I don't even know, because I use buckets at a time in my systems. It's been a long time since I used a cup. We do water changes here about 180 gallons at a time. That's like our smallest water change, so I have kind of like lost concept of what a 12-gallon might even look like. Wilmer Chua, where are you located? We're in Ohio. Number 8, let's move on. These are the Orchid Zoas. Dennis, are all your corals hitchhiker free? No. Simply put, no. There's a lot of different types of pests that we have to deal with on a regular basis. We actually did an article recently for Coral Magazine talking about kind of like our top 5 most problematic pests that we've seen. And we also did a video somewhat recently on the topic as well. And it's always going to be an issue when you're dealing with thousands of gallons of reef systems. It's a lot of like the main regular maintenance handles like a lot of different types of pests, but the ones that survive are pretty troubling. So it's always a constant battle here. Number 9. It's a second Orchid Zoa, slightly different coloration, but same pattern. Purple centers, green tentacles. Yeah, Fish School, if you want to come by, we can just set up an appointment. Yeah, like a lot of people, I guess locally don't realize that it's actually not a store. I mean, we're in a greenhouse, and all visits are by appointment. But we can do it. Number 10. We have a few of these combo zoas. It looks like a combination of eagle eyes and Jack Frost Palys. Dust off. Will there be any acanthophilia? I messaged you a while back to see, but got no response. Really? Because I think I did respond. I wonder if that might have gone to your junk mail or something, because I definitely remember replying to that. There's going to be one acanthophilia. I'll give you a hint. It's going to be expensive. It's probably the most expensive thing in this entire rack, but it's pretty nice. It's towards the end. Speaking of the end, we have a total of 153 corals, which you could probably tell just by going to Tidal Gardens and seeing in the live sale that there's 153 total items. But it's right towards the end. Number 11. We've got 2 polyps of just these standard green Palys. It kind of needs a combination of purple and green, actually. Next up, number 12. Second group of combo zoas. I'm not sure what all these guys are. It looks like some of them might be, what are those things called? Mellow yellow ones? Mellow yellow zoas. There are some Green Bay Packers and some other Jack Frost Palys. It's kind of like a mix of all different types of stuff. All right, let's go to number 13. These are the Sakura Zoas. Now these you definitely will see a vastly different appearance under actinic. And this is kind of why I wish that we had a way to show you what these look like, because their fluorescence is almost like a really bright pink, like bright pink and bright yellow. But under daylight, they kind of that fluorescence kind of gets washed out a little bit. We don't have these on the website, unfortunately, to show you either. So I think we're gonna have to take some photos of these under different lighting, and just so you can get a better impression of what they look like. All right, number 14. These are some Mantis Zoas. Also different in appearance from some of the previous ones. It's the same patterning, like you're getting a lot of the purple centers and green on the tentacles, but I think part of it could just be the specimen itself, but also where in our systems that they were grown, because a lot of our tanks have completely different lighting. So corals that are kind of like raised in those different under different conditions get wildly different colors, and then when you put it all in the same aquarium and light it the same, that's where you get like these huge differences. But I think over time, if we had both of those in the same tank, they would both kind of gravitate towards like a very, very similar look. Number 15. These are some Radioactive Dragon Eyes. So you saw before, we had some Eagle Eyes, and we had some, and now we have some Radioactive Dragon Eyes. They are very common corals, and they historically have been an incredibly popular coral for us. It's really kind of interesting, like, and that just kind of shows you how this hobby goes in waves as to what is popular at any given time. There was a time when there was these types of zoas called LA Lakers, which here they were a dime a dozen. I mean, we had them growing like crazy in our systems, and we would sell them in batches of like 50 to certain reef clubs and things like that. And now like nobody has them for sale, and we have literally like 1 or 2 frags of it left, and we're slowly trying to regrow it. So yeah, it seems like Radioactive Dragon Eyes and Eagle Eyes of all of our zoas are still the most popular. Dennis, Than, after watching the Hitchhiker video, I'm so afraid to start my reef. Can you say something positive so I feel better before I open my bank account and start this hobby? Well, believe it or not, boy, this is my best attempt at being positive. Pests are actually very low on your list of concerns. I think people make it out to be like a much bigger concern than it really is. But when you realize that like the vast majority of this hobby is just maintaining chemistry and just having like a good maintenance schedule, and that alleviates the vast majority of the problems that you're going to see. Like, just keep it simple in that regard. Like, having to deal with really esoteric pests, we're talking about like a 1% of the time sort of thing. If you're rock solid on your fundamentals, you'll have plenty of success with or without pests, really. It's just that I think people tend to focus on some of the I guess stuff that gets blown out of proportion. Like, you're going to see a lot of stuff about Aptasia, for example, being like a huge pest. Aptasia is a totally manageable non-issue in the grand scheme of things. So stuff like that. So I wouldn't worry about pests nearly as much as I wouldn't worry about nearly that much at all. I mean, it really comes down to just kind of like figuring out what you can do about the pests, and especially in smaller aquariums, it's very manageable. Next up, 16. These are some Rastas. Right, number 17. A smaller group of Rastas. Why is it in the pest video you mentioned Interceptor as a med for dipping and not as a treatment for the whole tank? I think people have done it in a whole tank, and you could use it. I don't know. I don't think I've ever used Interceptor in a whole tank, but I'm sure people have. I've only used levamisole in an entire tank. What's your experience with Acropora millipora in terms of lighting? I'm having trouble getting mine to color up. They do require quite a bit of lighting. Acropora are one of the few corals that really, you can hit them with a lot of light, almost as much as you can possibly hit them with, and they seem to just soak it all in. A lot of times when it comes to coloration, though, it's not just a lighting issue, it's also a chemistry issue, and stability of chemistry. So you kind of have to work all the angles. I mean, it's Acropora especially respond to any little change in the tank. So if one particular parameter falls off a little bit, that's when you get a lot of the browning events and stuff like that. Or just losing the entire colony, in fact, that could happen. Okay, number 18. Let's move on. Here's some purple death pallies, and it looks like there's a feather duster worm in there as well. Hello from Poland. What's the reef keeping scene like in Poland? This is the first time I had anybody mention that they were from there. All right, let's go on number 19. These are some Fruit Loops. Hey, what's up, Don? Glad you could make it. All right, next up, let's look at number 20. These are some of those Gobstopper Zoas. The Feather Duster Worm. They're like a little hitchhiker invertebrate that makes what really looks like a feather duster. It's a type of filter feeding worm. Some of them can get really large, but a lot of them stay pretty small as well. And if you have like a copper band butterfly or something, it's not going to make it very long in your tank because they love worms. All right, let's move on. Number 21. It's a soft coral called a blue Sympodium. These guys are actually really fast growing. We keep them under pretty low light, medium flow, I would say. And once they get settled in, they grow very, very quickly. Quarta, would you say that it's a good idea to isolate zoanthids on their own rock to prevent them from spreading? Personal preference, I guess. A lot of times people kind of have them isolated. Other times you just let them kind of run amok. And sometimes people just like to make an entire Zoa garden. Number 22. Some green star polyps. And we have 5 available at this price. These are kind of like the balloon-centered ones. They have like that little white bubble right in the middle of where their mouth is. There's another variety that we have. I don't know if we have it on this live sale, but it has a more of a feathery appearance, especially in their tentacles. Okay, so moving on, we're into our mushroom section. So we have a pretty wide variety of stuff, and you're gonna be able to see especially just how different Rhodactis can look. So the first one here is a blue hairy Rhodactis. Dan Lee, I have a circular star-like barnacle on an acrofrag. Should I be concerned? No. Barnacles are on a whole bunch of other things. I wouldn't worry about that too much. 24. Let's move on. This is a green hairy Rhodactis. Purple base with green tentacles. Both of these guys can get fairly large. I would say about 4 inches in diameter. Some Rhodactises stay very small, like about 1 inch. Others, like elephant ears, can grow about 12 inches, if not larger. Sydney. Hey, what's up, Sydney? Would you consider the blue Sympodium an easy coral to take care of? Probably, yeah. I mean, it's not doesn't really require any particular special care or anything like that. Okay, next up. 25. This is a Superman Rhodactis. This right now is definitely one of my favorites as far as Rhodactises go. I mean, I just love the coloration. It has really, really punchy reds and really, really punchy blues. Like, I like that really strong contrast. These guys stay about inch and a half at most. There's certain Rhodactis that you definitely want to have take over your tank. Like, this stuff I would love. Bounce mushrooms, if you're familiar with what bounce mushrooms are, those are kind of like the hot it coral right now. But Yeah, if you can get like a forest of bounce mushrooms, you could probably sell those and buy yourself a house. That's how much they're selling for right now. Next up, 26. This is a neon green Rhodactis. Yeah, I heard a story of like a bounce mushroom selling recently for about $6,000. So you can definitely do a lot if you just had a tank full of them. I expect the price of those to go down substantially in the next year or so, because they're actually easy to propagate. But there's not many people who have them right now, so it's kind of a slow process, but I expect a lot more to show up. I'm still on a waiting list to get one. I don't even like the way they look so much, but like my mother, for example, she really likes it, so we're gonna get a couple. Yeah, Jawbreakers, Sunny, yeah, those are really expensive as well. We saw a Jawbreaker at a wholesaler, importer once, and I think he wanted $2,000 for it. So we said no. All right, moving on. In a second. By the way, whenever you see the screen turn black like this, it's because we're moving the entire setup, so don't freak out. The stream is just fine. It's not a technical glitch. Have you had any experience with aqua vitro fuel? I have not. I have not. There's a lot of products I still haven't had. All right, let's see. How many people we got on? Okay. So is this number 27? There we go. Yeah, I was like, that doesn't look quite right. Okay, so this is number 27. This is like a blood red Rhodactis. Ben Pigeon, it's already snowing in Indiana. It's supposed to snow tomorrow here. I'm always conflicted when it comes to snowfall. I actually am starting to like winter. After 30 years of Ohio winters, I'm starting to like it. Yeah, Michael's not as happy about it, but I love the winter now. All right, number 28. Purple Rhodactis. So the reason why I like winter, mainly it's because this entire industry, the busy season is the winter time. I would say that it's about a 70-30 split between winter months versus summer months. Even in places that don't really experience winter, like California and Texas and Florida, tends to be more active in this industry. So we can actually afford to buy ourselves cool things occasionally for the greenhouse because we pick up sales. The other thing is, I don't have to mow the lawn. I hate mowing the grass. I have 3 acres here, and it takes me, well, it used to take me about 4 hours on a riding lawnmower to mow my grass, which is like a really, really dumb use of time when you think about it. So I eventually got like a really big, giant zero-turn lawnmower, and that cut it down to 90 minutes, and I still hate cutting my grass. I don't like mosquitoes, so I guess that's number 3. I don't like mosquitoes, and don't have to worry about that in the winter. So, yeah, winter's good to me. All right, number 29. It's our orange Rhodactis. These guys, it's a little subtle, but they actually have a bluish base. You need some wallabies like me. They cut the grass for you. I don't know. I'd have a hard time taking care of any animals, I'm starting to realize. I got 2 cats, which I post on Instagram occasionally. And what tends to happen is they look at me like I'm neglecting them. Like cats. Like the most independent animals you can get. They look at me like, dude, you're a terrible, terrible cat owner. All right, number 30. Moving on. This is a green striped Discosoma. They're in a little bit of current right now, so they tighten up a little bit. When they tighten up, you can see their colors a little bit more because it's more concentrated. However, they also really look good in almost no flow, where they really get stretchy and spread out. So this guy could double in size in a low flow system. What have you missed? Slightly later than usual. So far we've gone over some mushrooms. We covered a couple of soft corals and pretty much all the zoas and palys. We're on, what, number 30 so far? Yeah, there's a total of 150, so good amount left. And I think that with this stream, again, it's like, since I'm not much of a spectator, I think it's possible to like scrub back and forth in the timeline. So if you miss something, I think you can just like go back and see it, I think. That, or I'm going to crash your browser, not sure. Okay, number 31. Robbie, number 31. Yeah. Got our red marbled. So this isn't, we have a couple of different types of red marbled. This one has a slightly different pattern than a lot of our others. Usually what I'm used to seeing are kind of like these, almost like the cucumber-shaped white bars that kind of like radiate out from the middle. This one more has like polka dot spots. Number 32. Have our green spotted discosoma. At the end, will there be some euphilia? Actually, I think at the very end, in like the 130s and 40s, there might be like a few tiny euphilias. For some reason, we had a couple of our heads of euphilia die in our systems, and I have a feeling something might be eating them, like a crab or something like that. So we haven't quite figured out what's going on, but like literally everything is fine. You know, you look over it, everything looks like super, super healthy. We come back the next day and there's like one head that is just gone. It's like a clean white skeleton that was 100% fine the day before, which makes me think something just happened to eat that one that night. So we'll have to get creative, because it's in a 300-gallon tank, so it's kind of hard to see, you know, what might be bothering them. So what we do in situations like that is we start relocating stuff to smaller aquariums so we can observe and see if something just happens to nuke another head, like right there. It's a process. But yeah, we only have like a few euphilias that are going to be on this live sale. Yeah, euphilias are hammers, torches, frog spawn. And so I think that there's going to be a couple hammers and a frog spawn. Okay, moving on. We are looking at the blue spotted discosoma. It's got a red base, blue polyps. Unlikely that it's hermit crabs, because we have literally maybe 2 hermit crabs in this whole place. I'm not a big fan of hermits just because they do stuff like snipe corals every now and again. I know a lot of people have hermits as like a really good algae cleanup crew. A lot of people do, but I've just had some mixed results with them, so I tend to stay with like Asterina snails. They're not my favorite snail. I actually like Trochus snails the best, because they can kind of right themselves and sometimes they breed. But Asterinas are so cheap that we like bought 1,000 of them in our last order. So we have a little fleet of them cleaning our tanks. Okay, number 34. We have one of our lava lamp discosomas. These are pretty interesting, especially when under full actinic. They have that fuchsia base. So there's not a lot of corals that are actually fuchsia, not just a product of lighting, but then they're those little raised bumps have like a really bright yellow glow. So somebody, I guess, was asking about the Acanthophilia price. If you go to TidalGardens.com, hit the live sale link, which is the flashing link in the top left. You can scroll pretty much all the way to the end, and you tell me which item you think the Acanthophilia is. It should stick out like a sore thumb. Okay, number 35. This is our, we just call it like a general Marbled Discosoma rather than like a green or a red. Because it is kind of like more of a purple than anything. It's kind of neither here nor there. There's some green highlights in it, like right in the middle, but it's more than anything like a purplish color. Also, do you see this thing going on like here? This is a green screen error. And that's because it's very dim where I'm sitting. It's actually getting darker and darker here earlier. So unfortunately, when this green screen behind me is not perfectly lit evenly, you get like smudges like this happening. So I think I'm gonna have to bring in my own lighting just to shine at myself, just to prevent that type of stuff. Okay, number 36. This is kind of a curiosity too. It's like a red spotted discosoma, but the spots are very irregular. Like usually they'd be more like even across the whole body, but it's almost like they form like straight lines coming up from the middle, but really randomly. All right, 37. This is an orange Ricordea, Florida. I am officially having a harder time finding them in Florida. Like, I think I mentioned in previous live sales, not even sure where else I might have mentioned it, but Florida Ricordeas I think are kind of getting more difficult to find because of like a heat event. So a lot of the Ricordeas that people are getting now are from Puerto Rico, and they have like a slightly different appearance. I haven't ordered any yet from there, but I'm looking into it. A lot of times they have like pink rims and stuff like that. They're very different in colorations, especially color scheme. What is the most expensive coral in the world? There's going to be a different answer depending on what year you're asking. Right now it's probably a bounce mushroom, but there's always some coral out there that is going to be stupidly high priced, and it's like kind of like this little fun mix of greed and fear. So it's like the stock market. If you're ever investing and you get this feeling that I need to buy a certain stock right now or else it's going to go too high and I can't afford it later, chances are that stock is going to crash, because that apprehension that you're feeling is the product of like baseless hype more often than not. And that happens in this hobby a lot. It's like, I need to buy this coral now because in the future it's going to be really expensive. Chances are that's not true. So every single year there's going to be a super high price coral like that. So you just have to kind of watch out for those. Number 38. Free investment tips. Number 38. You have a blue Florida Ricordea. Why is it on your website? I changed my billing address. It changes my shipping as well. Shouldn't. I think people have been able to independently do that. Have different shipping and billing addresses. Maybe there's like a checkbox or something. All right, 39. This is a green Florida Ricordea. Is it frozen?
Yeah.
Really? Could you refresh your stream? Hit the like a Command R to refresh.
Command R.
Command R. Okay, and see if it's caught up. There we go. Yeah, sorry. Michael was having some browser issues, and he's not a Mac user, so it's like everybody's first time for something, I guess. All right, where was I? Let's go to number 40. This little guy is a yellow Ricordea yuma. The yumas are Pacific, whereas the Ricordea Florida are Atlantic. Yumas tend to get much larger. Excuse me. Ricordea Florida tend to be at most about an inch, a little bit more, inch and a half. The biggest one I've ever seen is probably an inch and a half. Ricordea Yuma, on the other hand, the biggest one I've seen of those is probably like 3-4 inches. This one here is tiny though, but he's got great color. Number 41. This is a Pseudocorynactis. If you're curious about these guys, definitely check out my video on the subject. This is a type of mushroom. It's a type of corallomorph. However, it's very different than all the others. It's highly predatory. So all those little, it's sometimes called an orange ball anemone, even though it's not an anemone at all. And those balls are very, very, very sticky. And they're very good at catching stuff like fish, shrimp, snails, pretty much anything. So you really kind of have to have an appropriate tank for them, I guess. Sometimes people just put these things with all the other stuff and whatever it eats. That's just too bad. But the biggest one that we've ever had was about 12 inches, and I'm pretty sure that it could take down like full-size tangs and things like that. So all the Pseudocorynactis that we have are in this kind of like a refugium type system that we don't have anything else with other than algae. They are kind of neat though, and you can feed them like huge chunks of meat, and they gobble it down in like a couple seconds. Number 42. In a bit. Than, what corals do you suggest me to start with that will teach me as I go along? Well, glad you asked, because we're looking now at some soft corals. This one is like a neon green cabbage, and any of like the leathers and stuff like that, they're very beginner friendly. A lot of the mushrooms are also beginner friendly, with the exception of the yellow Ricordea yuma that we just showed. Most of the other Ricordeas, the Discosoma, the Rhodactis, they're very tolerant to a lot of kind of swings that a beginner aquarium might face. So they're resilient to things like temperature changes, chemistry changes. They're not particularly aggressive, so if one happens to butt up against another one, it's not like both colonies instantly die, which can happen with small polyp stony corals or chalices. That happens a lot, where like two colonies of chalice will grow, and at the moment that they touch each other, they both die, which is very, very frustrating because they tend to be expensive. So yeah, in answer to your question, I would stick with like soft corals and leathers, as well as some mushrooms. And there's a lot of variety there to choose from. A lot of colors, a lot of shapes. All right, next up, number 43. I just call this guy a green finger leather. I forget what these things actually are, like the genus. So you have to pardon my ignorance on that. It's not a lithophyton. Totally drawing a blank. But they kind of have these knobby tips as compared to some of the other types of leathers. Like, for example, number 44, moving on, is a Kenia tree. So let's go to 44, Robbie. Yeah. So usually leathers tend to have this sort of appearance, where they're much more branchy, much more feathery. Fan, have you played Fallout 4 yet? It's amazing. I've heard a lot about it. I have not played it. And I'm seeing a lot of memes and stuff like that on Reddit about like a dog named Dogmeat or something. I think that's in Fallout 4. Yeah, I was actually talking to another friend. He bought it for his computer, and then it turns out that his graphics card can't run it. So he has to like upgrade his GPU. That, and I don't even, is it even out for the Mac? I don't even know. Like, Mac gaming is pretty weak at this point. No, it's not out for the Mac. Yeah. Overwatch isn't out for the Mac. It's a dark time for Mac gaming. Yes, the camera seems to be mega close, and it's not necessarily intentional so much as we can't back it up far enough away. It's kind of a little tight. So Robbie, just because you asked Jesse, Robbie's trying. Um, it's not a zoom lens, so it's a fixed focal length lens, so you have to kind of like move the entire thing in and out. Um, and so certain things fit in the frame, but some of these corals, especially later on, are going to be quite large, and so the whole thing might not fit in, so we might have to kind of scroll around the image a little bit. Okay, number 45, let's go ahead. This is that Red Sea pulsing Xenia. Here's the funny thing. These things don't pulse in the winter. It's one of the few corals that actually does better in the summertime. Usually, summertime here means that corals are going to struggle mightily. For whatever reason, Xenia love the summer. Maybe it's the additional light hours, maybe it's the additional heat, but in general, these guys, they pulse like rhythmically in the summertime, but come wintertime, they're usually just like spread wide open. They grow like crazy still, but no movement whatsoever. What's up? 100 millimeter. 100 millimeter Canon macro.
Can we go back to 41? He's open now.
41.
He's open.
Okay, let's go back to 41 because I think did somebody ask?
No, he's
Oh, okay, nobody asked, but Robbie wants to go back to 41 real quick.
open.
Okay, so yeah, so this is what the Pseudocorynactis looks like when he's open more, and you can see the mouth in the middle.
He's open now.
Gotcha.
We have that.
All right. So after that, we will be going to number 46. Yeah, actually, I didn't know that Miss Saltwater Tank played video games. You should be a live streamer. Get on Twitch and make that fast money. I'll come on your stream. I don't know what I could possibly play because I have a Mac. What?
Stream League.
Yeah, we can stream League. We can feed in Bronze League. Actually, Robbie plays too. We can have like the all Tidal Gardens League team. We can play against other people that watch the live show. All right, what are we on? Number 46. It's Purple Monty. I'm so behind in chat. I've been really bad about reading chat. I'm usually a lot better. Sorry, I gotta get caught up here. All right. 47. I should say that Montipora are one of those SPS that are gonna like a bunch of light, but when you're adjusting these to your system, I always recommend try to acclimate them slowly. Even though at their peak they can take a ton of light. This green plating guy is kind of interesting because, excuse me, I'm like burping like crazy. The way that he's positioned in one of these tanks, he's getting blasted by a ton of flow. And so you can see where the original colony was right in the middle there. It's very uniform in appearance. But as you get out to the growth edge, you see those high ridges start to form. And I think that's in kind of in response to the amount of flow that it's getting, which is kind of neat. Does that undata grow up like stalks? No, that's more of an encrusting variety. I should probably, yeah. So the first one was that purple Montipora undata. That guy is encrusting. This guy's plating. Next up is a Scarlet Montl, number 48. I was getting ahead of myself. It's a red plating Monty. Plates are by far the fastest growing, I think, as far as Montipora goes. Dust off. Any scolies? I think we have one scolie. But there's a few scolies available on the site. I think there's like 3. But on this live sale there, I think there's only going to be one. Number 49, the Scarlet Montl. Love the color on these guys. And like I mentioned in past broadcasts, our SPS are starting to color it more. So if you go back like a couple months, and I think that you can probably find a Scarlet Montl that we sold in that live sale and compare it to what you're seeing on screen now. This is like 10 times more vibrant. And I expect that like come like January, you're gonna see even like brighter SPS. And then when spring hits, it'll all go to hell. So enjoy it for the next few months while it's still here. All right, number 50. It's a purple sand dollar, also getting awesome coloration. Okay, so Asbel says, I want an algae control fish, especially a yellow tang, but I only have a 38 gallon. What should I do? Depends on what kind of algae you're trying to control. Like macroalgae, it's going to be harder to find something because like the best macroalgae eaters are typically stuff like fox faces, which you could, I guess you could squeeze one to a 38. That's like a really tight squeeze and that's not good for the animal. But I would strongly consider snails. Like I was definitely sleeping on the whole snail thing. And we had a 300-gallon tub that was very neglected this past summer. And it was basically overgrown with like some nuisance algae and stuff like that. We had kind of some boring coral in there, so we're like, whatever. At some point, we're just gonna have to take it all out, bleach everything, just destroy it, restart it. But instead of doing that, we got a couple hundred Asterina snails and just let them go to town. Let's see what happens. And they completely eradicated all of the algae issues in there. I mean, they did such a good job that they cleaned in between zoanthid polyps and stuff, like stuff that you couldn't even reach if you wanted to manually clean them. I'm a huge believer now in having like a team of Asterina snails. Because they're cheap. Cheap and super effective. Okay. Moving on, number 51. Meteor shower Cyphastrea. These guys, they go by a few different names based on really subtle differences in color. I think when we purchased this, it was called like a Jingle Bells Cyphastrea because I think that the base colored up a little bit more green, but as you can see in what you're seeing now on screen, at least on my screen that I'm seeing, it looks very blue. And the blue base with the red polyp is kind of the meteor shower coloration. The green base red polyp is more the Jingle Bells thing. But I have a feeling that depending on lighting, you can turn one to the other almost seamlessly. Don't ask me what lighting to use, but right now what we're getting is blue and red. Okay, number 52. This is our Harlequin Cyphastrea. He's a little closed. Not sure why, but definitely not as open as the previous one. I still love the coloration on these guys though. Got the three colors going on. How do you propagate Alveopora? Same as Goniopora? Pretty much, and I think your success is going to depend a lot on the species. There's a lot of different species of Goniopora, a lot of species of Alveopora, and certain ones are going to do a lot better after cutting than others. Certain ones, if you cut it, the whole thing's just going to die pretty instantly. So sometimes it's very species specific. We have a few pieces that we've cut over and over and over again and they're fine. Others, they don't do so well. Okay, let's go to 53. Neon Green Monti. Truth be known, I'm not sure that this is a Monti. Look, like right in the middle there, you can see sweeper tentacles and stuff. Like, at one time I thought this was an acro. It'd be a weird acro. It never actually branches or anything like that I've noticed. But yeah, we've always called these things either a green Monti or a green acro, but it wouldn't take much to convince me that it's neither. So I am curious to know if any of you guys have seen anything quite like this, and if you know what it is for sure, because I'm not that certain. Dawn, I keep putting peppermint shrimps in my corner tank for Aptasia. They always disappear. Yeah. Ours tend to disappear after about 6 months also. We can always tell when they disappear because then all these little micro Aptasia start to bubble up again. Okay, moving on. 54. This is a yellow Leptastrea. The centers of these guys are yellow. The tentacles are kind of like a lime green color. Are Montis okay for beginners? Not the best choice. Sometimes they can be a little sensitive, and by sensitive I mean they can just die on their own sometimes. Also, Montipora, going back to pests that we were talking about earlier, they can be infested sometimes by Montipora eating nudibranchs, and that is a legit terrifying pest to get because they are practically impervious to most efforts to get rid of them, to the point where you should consider just taking the coral and throwing it away. Like, they're that bad. So the combination of them being slightly sensitive and the possibility of pests, especially with wild colonies versus aquaculture colonies, you could find other things. You can find other things that are plating and have the same growth pattern that are just don't share those downsides. Okay, 55. This is an orange Leptastrea. Orange center with purple tentacles. Yeah, Leptosiris, some depending on what types, sometimes they're expensive, and certain retailers are expensive. Like, I'll be perfectly honest. There's like a group of like 5, just off the top of my head that I can think of, that are like high end, and I consider myself towards like the higher end of the price spectrum as well. But occasionally you can find good deals on stuff. You just kind of have to look to find what it is you're looking for at that price. But definitely there's certain outlets that are setting like the top end of the price ladder, I guess. 56. This is the jack-o'-lantern Leptosiris. 45. I forget what we're selling these things on on our website, but they're quite a bit more. I think they might be like 60, 70 maybe on the website. And for our Halloween special, since it's kind of like the whole jack-o'-lantern theme, I think we were selling these guys for $20 for that special. And I think that they might have been gone within seconds. Are you shipping to Serbia? Unfortunately, no. We only ship to the US. $57. This is the Ultra Leptosiris. The Ultra differs from the jack-o'-lantern in that the color, the central color, that bright green, extends all the way out to the edge. And it's almost more green than it is orange and red. Yeah, right now these frags are fairly tiny. They're probably only a little over ½ inch. They're pretty. They're small, but then again, Leptosiris grow really, really, really fast. There's not a huge benefit to buying like a giant colony of it. Say no, Chase. Than, great article in Coral Mag. Thank you. All right, next up, Golden Lepto. This is like a medium-sized colony, about an inch or so, a little bit larger. We've got 5 of these available at this price. I love how Leptosiris look. If I had a home aquarium, I would definitely consider getting a Lepto. Is it a hard to keep coral? No, not really. Middle of the road. We also have like a green variety that we've put on sale for in past live sales, but not on this one. It's like a neon green, and we're gonna start to propagate that more extensively. We kind of stumbled upon it. Don. Behave. Than, is there a reason why some of my acro grow faster than some? I have a few pieces that haven't grown an inch in 2 years but are healthy. Sometimes corals are like that. Like, we've had plenty of colonies of random stuff that sometimes they do nothing for about 2 years and then suddenly like quadruple in size in a month. It's just they just hit that point where they figure out what's going on and they just start to grow. 59. This is pinstripe platygyra. It's a large polyp stony coral, maze brain. So if your water parameters are good, you're keeping up with all your maintenance, don't go crazy on trying to fix anything. Sometimes really it is just a matter of the coral figuring it out, and it's really nothing on your end. Obviously, if something is struggling, I would take a closer look in that situation. But really, I think people downplay the value of consistency in your reef aquarium. And if you can keep stuff very, very consistent for 6 months, 6 months, yeah, 6 months to a year, I would bet that you would see insane results at the end of that time period where you really didn't do anything other than keep things steady. So, yeah, play with that if you like, but try to keep stuff very, very stable, and I would expect good things just based on that. Number 60. Toxic Green Platygyra. Pandemonium, are you guys going to Reefapalooza Orlando or New York? I'll be hanging out with Worldwide Corals and Cornbread, but would love to meet you guys. Right now there's no plans for travel. The only thing that's kind of sort of on my calendar is MACNA in San Diego. We really don't travel very much at all anymore. Like, MACNA in DC was the last time probably that we're going to be setting up a booth anywhere. However, I might attend a couple other shows here and there, but it's tight because little bit of insider knowledge. We needed to hire people here for like the longest time, and for whatever reason, it took us a very long time to find some folks to fill spots that we needed. So we just hired a full-time person that starts literally Monday, like in 2 days. And so we weren't even able to go on like huge trips that we were thinking about going to, like to Asia and stuff. Like, I missed out on going to China this summer because we didn't have enough staffing here. So for the first time in a long time, I'm actually going to be able to travel. And so instead of going to Reefapalooza, I'm going to Hawaii. So priorities, right? Hawaii wins. Blah. Reading chat, sorry. Hello, Olga. Welcome back. I'm sorry, I'm missing out on so much of the chat. Dennis, Stan, will you please say hello to my dad? His name is Anthony Bliss. Did you misspell your dad's name? Sorry, Dennis, I had to give you some crap. Okay, next coral, 61. This is the Hollywood Stunner. You won't really be able to see it in this particular view, just because of the lighting, but it's starting to get like the orange highlights. When you keep these things under pure blue actinic LED, they start to develop like orange polyps almost. So we have a couple where all the polyps that you see that are bright green are actually bright orange. It's like the weirdest thing. Yeah, Pandemonium. Finding good help is crazy. It is so true. Like, I don't know if you guys remember Ben, but he worked here for about like 6 years, and it was awesome. He could like run this ship all by himself, and it was like totally, totally awesome. Until the day that he has to leave. Then like life sucks. Really, really bad. And you start missing trips to Asia. You start looking at what you see is what you get volume on your website, and it's down, like 100 from where it used to be. It's like, it sucks. So hopefully, we get this new person up to speed, and over the course of a few years, hopefully, we'll start to pick up some momentum again. Nah, Dennis, it's alright. I gotcha. Hello, Anthony Bliss. Alright, number 63. 62. I'm so fast. This is the pink and gray I'm having a hard time talking now. Pink and gray chalice. There we go. Chalices are fun. Care requirements are kind of all over the board, but you can always settle with medium flow, medium light for the most part. Kind of have to worry about positioning because they can be very aggressive to anything they touch or are touched by. So one thing that you should always worry about is coral aggression. You want to give things plenty of space. Having said that, I was over at my friend's place, and his tank is jam-packed with corals. And he has every type of coral touching one another. And if I did that in my systems, overnight, everything would kill each other. But in his tank, it's fine. So it's really weird to see how certain people can have success doing that. And I have a feeling it has a lot to do with just management of chemistry. So his tank in particular, for example, has like a water change system that does about 7 gallons a day. So every week, that's about 50 gallons. So he's like constantly swapping water out. And he's constantly filtering, like chemically filtering his water. So a lot of the aggression issues, I think, are minimized because of that. And that's something that we just don't typically do here. But it is really interesting how some of these problems are manageable. But practically speaking, give these guys plenty of room. Say what? How much light does a Scarlet Montl need? I would start medium, but then like ramp it up to like medium high. What's up, Michael?
Yeah, that's exactly what I was saying.
Yeah, Montipore in general can handle a lot of light, but you kind of have to give them a ramp up period so they don't get scorched. Let's go to number 63. This is the pink and blue chalice. Right now, I'm actually just kind of admiring this setup a little bit because we're getting great coloration. I'm really happy with how this looks like on my screen. And I don't know what that thing that's waving in the background is. I have zero clue what that is. My guess is it could be Zooxanthellae that's being spit out. Yeah, can you focus on that? What is that? That. What does that look like?
Fish waste
It's poop?
on the bottom of the frag and stuff.
Oh. Well, it's not nearly as interesting as I thought. It's just fish poop. Sometimes you just get fish poop. All right, number 64. Moving on. Yep, that's Nathan. The friend with the water change system. I mentioned him too much, so I'm gonna chill out on talking about him. What are your thoughts on KH fluctuations? What's worse for SPS, sudden drops or raising it too fast? I think either or is bad. Like, you really don't want that to fluctuate too fast. Any Black Friday discounts? No. This is the closest thing you can get to a Black Friday. I don't get the rampant consumerism of Black Friday, to be honest. Like, this is like my little social soapbox thing. If you're willing to trample another human being to save like $100 off of a TV, I worry for humanity just a little bit. Seriously. It's not even that good of a TV. You know that's not a good TV, right? That's like, well, it probably has like a 30 hertz refresh rate. I know, it's a garbage TV for $50. You don't even want that TV. All right, let's see. 65. This is our Civil War chalice. If a Monty is growing down, is that a sign of too much light? I would... So this is me putting on my Coral Whisperer hat. If I was a coral, why would I be doing that? My guess is it probably has more to do with flow than it has to do with light. A lot of times, coral, when they take on different shapes, it's a lot of it is to maximize flow. So if I had to guess, that's where I would put my money. Do you need to quarantine snails or hermits? That's an interesting question. I I've never done that, but if you wanted to do that for like hermit or for snails, I would do it to avoid. I think they're called pyramid snails that are like a parasitic thing that attaches to other mollusks. So sometimes you see these tiny little like narrow snails stuck to your actual algae eating snail, and those are like or eating your asterina or eating your trochus snail. And the problem is those things can transition to your clams and start killing your clams. So in that sense, I think it would make sense to do that. Yeah, 30 hertz refresh rate, 480p. It's basically like the worst 40-inch tablet. It's just nonsense. Yeah. Okay, 66. This is a Hills Have Eyes chalice. So I shouldn't hate on that too much because I have a lot of friends that they get really excited about that. They camp out. I'm on the other end of the spectrum. On Black Friday, I don't even want to leave my house. Like, I'm genuinely worried that I'm going to run out of food and it's going to be Black Friday and I don't want to like drive out to go find food. I'll just sit at home hungry. Start eating cat food or something. All right, number 67. This is the cookies and cream chalice. These guys are looking pretty sweet right now. They've got like 4 colors working. So pink and blue chalice, a low light like Leptocyrus. Chalices, I'd say, are middle of the road as far as lighting goes. They can take a pretty wide range of lighting conditions, but you are going to see some differences in what they appear. As far as their health, they can adapt to quite a bit, but you might get just different morphologies like spring up. I don't know if I'm using that word right, but it sounds right. Morphology? I should Urban Dictionary that. Okay, moving on. 68. It's the Golden Eye chalice. I'm just kind of tickled that like we're getting fall coloration and these things are actually looking good for the first time in a long time. Hello from Brazil, Rafael. Are you a mixed martial arts fan? We talk a lot about Brazil, but only with regard to MMA. We talk a lot about. Okay, so we here at Tidal Gardens, we don't talk about coral. We don't talk about fish. We don't talk about keeping tanks. We talk about mixed martial arts. We talk about movies. What do we talk? We talk about gaming. Those 3 topics dominate our headspace. 69. That's our lunar chalice. Are Tridacna clams worth 70 euros? Could be. Depends on the clam, really. Like, depending on what it looks like. I've seen Crocias that sell way more than that. I've seen some that cost several $100s even, depending on their pattern. We don't have a lot of clams here just because of the way that we do maintenance. Doesn't agree with the clams and they typically just die. We move stuff around too much. They get upset. That and actually our lights are pretty dim. And clams need tons more. Went from halide to LED recently. Some girls got spot burned. Do you guys have that problem? No, because we turn our LEDs down to about 20% sometimes. We keep ours very low. Okay, moving on, number 70. This is an orange-eyed acant echinata. We have a few different types of acants this show. Unfortunately, we don't have my favorite one up, which is like a crazy rainbow one, because he was looking kind of unhappy. He was a big colony. But I'm going to be working on getting some acants. For a while, we were struggling with acants and bacterial infections, so I put like a moratorium on getting new acants. And so we made this thing where the policy is, unless the acan can grant wishes, we're not going to buy it. So that's where we came up with this little internal term, wish-granting acans. So in the future, I am looking now for some wish-granting acans because we are having more success. even though that one is kind of unhappy. Let's see. Are we talking about Joe Rogan now? Did I miss that transition to Joe? So I did not catch the Graham Hancock Carlson episode, but I always love to listen to Graham Hancock. Like, it's funny. Like when let's move on to 71 real quick. 71, Robbie. It's all right. So it's really funny. When I started to listen to the Joe Rogan podcast, it was the very first time Graham Hancock was on, and I instantaneously reevaluated my stance on illegal drugs as it pertained to like psychedelics and stuff, just because of how fascinating this discussion that they were having. So yeah, I thought that I love his podcast. Sometimes like their guests kind of like are completely opposite of my belief system, but it's also really kind of cool to get that perspective too. Just because a lot of these people have had like such different experiences. There was one that had like Tate Fletcher and Andy Stumpf, I think, who's like a Navy SEAL. Very different perspective to what I believe, but at least they're able to share some really cool stories. And any time that they talk about fight, it's great. I like all the random fight companion stuff. Hooked on fish. Do you have any experience with LED and what corals can grow in it? No, I've never used that type of LED. I'm not the biggest LED guy, I'll tell ya. We use a lot of LEDs here, kind of to save on electricity, and we've kind of maxed out our circuit, but I'm slowly switching as much as I can to T5 for actual coloration and stuff. And I missed the previous question. What was it, Michael? Yeah, I answered that one.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I got that one. Got it. Shrooms and ayahuasca. I would add 100%. Take a trip down to Peru, see the sights. What number are we on? All right, let's go to 72. Asterina star is dangerous for reef tank. It depends. Certain ones are fine. They do nothing but like chew on coralline algae. Others actually eat corals. Depends on which one you get. You kind of have to pay attention to it. If you see one like camped out on a dying coral, go ahead and remove that one. But the vast majority are harmless. They're just kind of a nuisance if they're on your front glass all the time. Brian Callen, he's all right. I guess I don't have a ton of opinion on Callen. Okay, 73. Marbled Acan echinata. You know who I love is Kevin Piera, and Kevin Piera from previously from G4 TV. His stuff on the Joe Rogan's podcast was awesome, and his own podcast, which is more like entertainment and gaming related, is fantastic. I love that guy's podcast. So if you like the Rogan-ish stuff, definitely check out. I think it's called The Attack. Previously from Attack of the Show. They basically kind of recreated that in podcast form. It's pretty sweet. Yeah, Dan getting serious with 100%. Yeah. Okay, 74. Orange Crush Acan echinata. LED plus T5 combo, best light period from my experience. If I had a home aquarium, that's probably what I would gravitate towards. I've said this numerous times, but I really like the ATI power module, which has those controllable LEDs in the middle, and the fixtures that are 48 inches or less, you can get them with controllable T5. So you can actually dim your T5 fluorescent bulbs in 10 stages, like 10 steps. Go to Peru, end up in a Peruvian prison. I've seen Locked Up Abroad. It's legal there. Ayahuasca's legal. My bigger problem is you might just run into like a total charlatan, and they take your money and they don't actually give you ayahuasca. They probably just give you some other nonsense and you just end up all loopy in the middle of a jungle or something, that'd be bad. Like, I'm more worried about, like, getting bitten by some random insect in the jungle and just, like, finding no healthcare. That'd be bad. 75. Or getting eaten by, like, a jaguar. That's not on my list of things to avoid. Like, now that I have, like, small cats and seeing what kind of damage they can do. Like, I've seen a jaguar in person, and that's a very, very large animal that I'd like to avoid. Okay. Pereira? Is that how it's Pereira? Kevin Pereira? I don't know. Kevin. I missed the question.
Asking how to get these hammers
To eat? Hammers don't have huge appetites. Like, ours don't readily eat. Search YouTube for sustainable aquatics pellets. It's actually for fish, but for some reason we were able to get some finicky Euphilia to eat that stuff. So check that out. 76. Green pinwheel acan. It's a larger one. Yeah, if I ever went down to let's just call it a resort retreat in South America, I would film as much of that as I'm allowed to. Which, if you know what I'm talking about, it's usually left off camera. I'll leave it at that. You can Google that if you feel like it. Ayahuasca. 77. Let's move on. Is it good to have jellyfish in a reef tank? No. I'll say no quite definitively. Actually, Miss Saltwater Tank recently got a jellyfish aquarium, and I don't know, Louise, like, have you actually got jellyfish yet? Because I know that she's working on a video. I only saw them when I was at MACNA, but they're becoming very popular. So I'm wondering if it's kind of like a silly, unsustainable fad, or if those tanks can actually be kept long term. I don't have any personal experience with it. So this next one is a red pinwheel acan. A little smaller. I've seen upside down jellyfish. I've never seen somebody keep it in a reef tank though. Usually, I've seen them in the wild actually. When I was snorkeling and stuff like that in Mexico, and they're definitely not in reefs whenever I've seen them. So I would probably not do that. $78. Let's go into the Sparkle Acan Bowerbanki. Much larger polyped variety. Acan lords touching each other is fine. Acan anything else touching each other is not good. Like, lords will fight with Bowerbankis, which will fight with Echinatas, and they'll fight very aggressively. Like, it'll take one day for something to die, so you kind of have to be careful of that. Acans and chalices and stuff like that, for whatever reason, are very aggressive. Hello from Mexico. I miss my time in Mexico. I go to like the kind of like the fake Mexico section of like Cancun though, I'll be perfectly honest, but I really enjoy it there. I know I have like no culture, but I really like to relax on vacation. 79. This is a neon green Acan Bowerbanki. Yes, the jellies are in mangrove lagoons. So that's where in Mexico I went snorkeling, was like this kind of this eco resort where you climb in to the water like way up in like what looks like a jungle, and you swim all the way down this this river all the way to the ocean. It's like the coolest thing, and you see like how you progress like from freshwater to saltwater. Very, very cool. Okay, I need to take a break. I need to use the bathroom, so I shall return in a moment. And I'm back. All right, so something, low light corals. Just about every coral that's not called Acropora would probably do pretty well in low light. The Cyphastrea especially is a very low light coral. Okay, you know what? I did. Let's go to 80 real quick. This is the blood red Acan Bowerbanki. I'm seriously loving the look that we're getting out of all of our corals under this lighting. I'm super happy. Super duper happy. What do you think about me putting my reef on egg crate on the sand? Never tried it, to be perfectly honest. Give it a go and let us know. Let us know if you like it or not. Did I wash my hands? Of course I did. I even have like wet towels here on my desk. Let's see. What is the best food for Gonipora alveopora zoa? Zoas are incredibly difficult to feed sometimes. I would say that they're at the top of the ladder as far as stuff that doesn't really like to eat anything that we offer. I know that Fauna Marin makes, or maybe it's like Fauna Marine, I'm not sure like how it's pronounced, but they make a zoanthid food. You might want to play with that a little bit. I'm not really sure how successful you'll be. They're tricky, and certain varieties of zoas eat more readily than others. Do you guys play with pico tanks? Funny you asked that, Alex. So Michael, the person that's on chat, he's going to be setting up one. And so I think that we're going to try to document the process. We're going to try to do like one that's slightly more high-end, just to see, kind of like tricking out what a 2.5 gallon pico, like what's really possible to do with one. So stay tuned. It's going to be a work in progress, but I kind of hope to make a pico related video. Yeah, egg crate on sand, not good. It traps a lot of detritus. I could see that. Mark Marin. We're talking about Mark Marin now? I'm losing track of chat. It's so busy. We're finally getting to that point where like it's hard to keep track. All the different conversations going on. All right, let's move on to number 81. You might have to tone down the exposure on that because what I'm seeing on my screen is like insanely bright green. And this thing in person is insanely bright green. No. Wow. It's already 4:30. You know, this entire day is flying by. Like crazy. Okay. Let's move on. 82. Blastomus or Merletti. Got 5 of these guys. Are you guys good for time? Robbie, you good for time? You don't have to be anywhere, do you?
No.
Okay, good.
You take your time.
All right. Next up is a red Blastomerletti. Got 5 of these at this size. And we may as well go to 84 because this is a much larger red Merletti. So if you wanted one of the smaller ones just to get started, they do grow pretty quickly. You can go with the stuff that's item number 83. 84 is the much larger colony. Yeah, it just occurred to me that we've already been broadcasting for 2 hours, roughly, a little less than 2 hours. And we're at number 84. And like I mentioned, the total number is going to be 153. So we've got a good long ways to go. Yeah, hopefully we're going to run out of batteries on the camera. If we do, I have a backup battery. So it might go black for just a second, and that could be a thing. On a difficulty stress scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate Machna Frag Swap's live sales? Machna is a 10 in terms of stress. Frag swaps are a 6-ish, 7-ish. Live sales are like a 1. I love live sales. Okay, 85. Moving on. This is a red Blastowelsey. Single polyp, but the way that Welsies grow, a single polyp turns into like 5 or 6 to 8 polyps very quickly. They just start having new babies at the base. Yeah, Machna is so stressful that like people end up quitting their jobs over it. Like when a store decides to go to Machna, sometimes some of the employees end up quitting as a result. That actually happens because it's so stressful. Okay, number 86. Okay, let's see. What do you think about raising magnesium to 1800 to avoid algae problems? Okay, so I should probably talk about that a little bit. Usually that algae problem that they're talking about, it's a type of a hair algae. Shoot, what is it called? I am totally blanking on it. It's Bryopsis, yeah. And they say to raise your magnesium to this level. It's actually not magnesium that's killing off that algae, but it's a specific impurity that happens to be in Kent Marine's Tech M magnesium additive. And whatever is in specifically Tech M is the thing that's toxic to that algae. So that's kind of where that is. So you can look up Tech M and read up a little bit more about that. It's a magnesium supplement that just happens to kill Bryopsis. Okay, 87. This is the orange and purple Blastowelsey. Yeah, everybody's like, so chat, but just to let you know, chat is about 30 seconds behind. So that's why it takes a second for all the conversations to sync up here. Yeah, so everybody now is talking about the Tech M stuff. Okay, almost finishing out this side. This is number 88. It is an orange Lobophilia. This one I call it an orange, but it's kind of dusky. It's this orange that kind of transitions to blue towards the edge. Karen, based on the Triton testing, some people think impurity is lithium. Interesting. So, you know what? I am kind of curious. Has anybody here actually tried the Triton testing method? Because Fauna Marin is starting their own analytical chemistry lab. and they were asking if I was interested in selling that service. So I've never used it before, but I'm kind of curious to see if anybody else out there has kind of like worked with that analytical, chemistry stuff, and whether that really helped your tank, or if something that's like something that is interesting to you, because like we talk about reef chemistry so often, and a lot of our test kits really aren't that good. It's kind of like you get as close as a hand grenade can, sort of thing. It's close-ish, enough-ish, but a lot of like the chromatography stuff that a lot of these analytical labs do, it's a lot more precise. So I'm kind of curious as to see what you guys think about those. It's a very new thing in the hobby. I mean, obviously, gas chromatography and stuff like that, that's been around for like 60 years or something. But as it applies to this hobby, it's a very new product offering. 89. This is a Miami Lobo. Will there be any macroalgae on today's lifestyle? No, sorry, Sydney. No algae of any kind, really. That's interesting. I never even considered selling macroalgae on these live sales. I should. Okay, and number 90 is another Miami Lobo. Are we at the very end there? 90? Great. Slightly smaller one. But kind of has a cool little speckling going on towards the edge. Plate corals, are they coming soon even? 30-ish away-ish. Yeah. They're coming up. We have so many ridiculously awesome flower anemones right now, Don. They're super incredible right now. It's just a matter of us actually being able to photograph them, because they're not too cooperative when it comes to that. But I'm really happy with our selection right now. And I'm even going to experiment a little bit with propagating them. I heard differing reports about whether you can cut them or not. I'm just going to give it a try. All right, let's, I guess we'll take a moment, because now we have to move the entire rig. And I suppose this is a good time to finally go over the rules. So if you did want to purchase, after we've gone over 90 corals, this is how to do it. The actual sales process happens on TidalGardens.com. You go to the live sale link, which is in the top left. It's the flashing red dot, and I'm losing my train of thought because everything's moving in front of me. Whenever you check out with the coral, choose the local pickup live sale option, so you're not charged shipping for every single coral that you check out with. And you'll want to check out with the corals pretty quickly, for the simple fact that in order to actually reserve the coral, you have to check out with it. One sec. I just got a message and I wanted to review it. All the secret messages. Okay, somebody was asking about the settings on my lights. I pretty much keep most of the blue colored stuff, so like the blues and the violets and the royal blues and whatnot. I keep that stuff right around 100%, and I keep the whites and reds and greens lower, 30-40% on average. Kind of depends from tank to tank, but that's ballpark. Oogly doogly. Yes, unfortunately do not ship to the UK, it's US only. Asterina infestation with harlequins, could that work? A harlequin shrimp can eat about 100 asterinas a day. So you kind of have to have a gigantic system to do that. We had one harlequin in here, and in 5,000 gallons we would have to hunt down asterina starfish for it every single day. It was quite a hassle. Like, it was to the point where, why don't we just handpick all the asterinas out, and we would have no asterina infestation. But hey, if it makes you do the work, I guess it's effective. Okay, let's go to 91. This is a multicolored Stylophora. This colony, and you can move the camera around. It's like just pan around it if you like. What? Well, yeah, you can just mess with it. Explore all the different possibilities, Robbie, of camera movement. But this colony is about, I'd say about 4 inches in total. It's a fairly large piece. We're including some more of the ones that are just kind of a little bit overgrown and that are not just frags for this particular sale. Okay, let's go to number 92. And these are frags. Karen, keep up posted on the RFA slice and dice experience. There's a lot of uncles, neighbors, friends thing. Yeah, that's what I heard, and I've heard both sides. I've heard that it works, and I've heard that it doesn't work. Okay, so another stylo. Let's go to number 93. This is a neon green stylo. The purple cast that you're seeing, I think, is a little bit of bleed over from LEDs. That's kind of a very LED sort of look that we're getting. Yeah, maybe. What is the principal food for zoas? What? Yeah, pretty much the cloudy stuff. I'd say like really small zooplankton, things of that sort. 94. A small purple stylo. Stylophora and Postilopora look very, very similar. I have a hard time describing how they look different, but I can always just kind of tell by their polyps for some reason. They look distinctive to me. Okay, number 95. It's like a light pink stylo. Okay, let's go on to number 96. This is a small colony of Postilopora verrucosa. This variety of Postilopora grows those knuckle-shaped lobes rather than like the thin branches. We'll have some thin branching varieties, but this guy is roughly 3 inches or so, but he's like fully encrusted, and you can see that all the different lobes that are already forming. When I look at this, it looks like a crab. Kind of like crab shape, or like Blastoise. All right, number 97. This is a very large multicolored Postilopora colony. I do have to say it is slightly deceiving because like this is laid on its side, and so you're seeing it what it would look like more or less top down. The base of it, where it received no light, has kind of has died back, but you can see the crown of it is flourishing. So if you're interested in like a pretty sizable piece of a multicolored Postilopora, it's got a lot of pink and but it has like green and purple highlights throughout. How do I know if a live sale coral is no longer available? It will literally not show up if it's already purchased. So if you see like number 97, for example, if you can see it and put it into your shopping cart, it means that it's still there. So I don't know. I haven't actually gone to my website. I'm gonna guess somebody's purchased something. So if you read the numbers and then there's like some numbers that are missing, it's because somebody had purchased it. Something about a PS4, Xbox One. Oh, Battlefront. I'm watching a lot of Twitch. I'm watching a lot of Battlefront. Looks all right. Looks all right. Okay, number 98. It looks like a multicolor, but this is actually more consistently pink. This is another very large colony. These large colonies are about 6 inches in diameter. They're about like that big. Oh, about Battlefront? Yeah. Yeah, Michael and I were talking Battlefront briefly. There's a lot of, I guess, debate going on about the DLC about that, because I guess like they released the game for about $60 and have an immediate DLC for another $50. So it's like $110 if you wanted the complete game on day one. So I don't know, like EA, Electronic Arts, they're like a scumbag production company. I don't know. Number 99. So this is a small rainbow Polypora. These guys actually have a cream-colored whitish base, purple tentacles, or I'm sorry, purple polyp with like a, like the tips are like a highlighter green. Jesse, about how many pieces do you guys sell on average during the live sale? It really depends. I mean, you can kind of just go back and just see like which numbers are missing after about 24 hours. It really just depends. And again, it's like I don't even know what people want to see. Like when we're picking out corals, sometimes we're like, maybe we should have cheap stuff, and then other times, you know, people are saying we need more high-end stuff. And sometimes we have like tons of high-end stuff and nobody buys it. It's almost totally random. So we try to give like a cross-section of everything from like the cheap stuff all the way to the super expensive stuff. Just see what happens. Okay, number 100. It's a little green Polypora. Okay, next up, 101. So this is like a very thin branching pink Polypora. Going back to what some people were asking about, with some SPS corals that are easier to keep, like the Stylophoras and the Polyporas are among the easier ones to ease into. So consider these if you wanted to just like, kind of get your toes wet. 102. This is a branching green Polypora. A little bit larger than the previous one. Similar coloration, they might have been in different tanks. Yeah, so in chat, let me know so far. We're up to 102, 103-ish. What's your favorite coral that you've seen so far? Okay, let's go to 103. This is a bird of paradise. It's probably the most popular variety of bird's nest that we have. People like kind of like that rainbow-ish coloration. Okay. Next up, 104. Are you at the end? You're at the end. All right. You can kind of see it on screen, but it's the it's a yellow bird's nest. We'll put the overlay. More than Battlefront, I am actually geeked up to see The Force Awakens. Like it's setting all kinds of records now for pre-sales, and I really hope this next Star Wars is going to be good. I mean, I don't, obviously nobody knows what the plot details are going to be, but I'm just hoping that, you know, that there's like some adult supervision now on writing, that they'll actually have a good script. There won't be any CGI main characters. I'm Star Wars really needs a comeback in the worst way. So, fingers crossed. There's a lot of movies I want to see. I want to see Creed. I heard Creed is like really, really good. Heard great things about Creed. I still want to see Sicario. I haven't seen that in theaters. What else is out there that's going to be good? No, not the Hunger Games. I want to see The Revenant, and I want to see The Hateful Eight. So there's a lot of movies coming out. Okay, that's the yellow bird's nest. Moving on, this is the pink bird's nest. Reading chat here. Star Wars is overrated. I disagree. I think Star Wars is underrated. I think it's underrated. I think it's been crapped on for like a decade. Like seriously, like those prequels, not very good films. Like high school children could have written better scripts than that. It's really bad. Really, really bad. 106. Let's move on. This is a prismatic Acropora. Oh, The Martian. Yes. I haven't seen it. I heard good things. Did you see it? No. My friend, actually, my house guests that were here for the last live show, they went and saw The Martian and said, you need to see this movie. And did I go? No. Heard good things. 107. This is a little blue tip acro. Our acros are finally looking like they're not wanting to commit suicide. Like commit Sudoku. Yeah, it's a gamer thing, but no, it's Sudoku. I know this because I'm Asian. All right, let's move on. 108. This is a teal-tipped acro. It's almost gray in color on screen, but it's actually more of a teal, and the tips are bluish. My pink bird's nest is not as pink as it should. Do you know why? Is it an iodine problem? I am 99% sure it's not an iodine problem. Most likely it's not getting enough light. Most of the time I would say go medium on bird's nest, or even medium low on bird's nest. But pink bird's nest, to get like the brightest pinks out of them, you really do need a little bit elevated lighting levels. So I would give a little boost to light first, see how that goes. And by the way, speaking of stuff like iodine, my rule of thumb is whenever anybody asks, should I be adding blank to my tank? Always consider this. Never add something that you're not actively testing for. So if you want to add iodine, test for it first to see if your iodine levels are high or low to begin with. I mean, just don't like read a bottle and say, oh, it says add 5 drops per gallon. Don't do that. Test first, whatever you do. Blind additives is not, it's not going to be ending well for you. All right, 109. Purple bonsai acro. This is the first time in about 4 months that these looked acceptable to sell. And they're looking really nice right now. Don Myers, commit Sudoku in a coral stream. Yep. All right. Number 110. This is like a large mini colony. Listen to me with my. What is it called when you contradict yourself in the same sentence? Oxymoron? Yeah. It's a roughly 2.5, 3 inch little section here. Green Pavona. All right, number 111. It's the Freak Hair Pavona. I'm really glad that we were able to get these guys growing. It's a very unique looking coloration for Pavona. There are purple Pavonas, but this one in particular has almost like a magenta base, and those little tentacles. And again, I wish I could do like the all actinic look real fast, because it is like they are the brightest little tips when they're fluorescing. All right, moving on. 112. This is the orange Bavona. Also a very bright fluorescence. What is the best way to get rid of vermeted snails? If you're not aware of what vermeted snails are, they're these like sessile snails, meaning they don't move. They just kind of like form a little colony. And they make mucus webs, and sometimes you poke yourself really hard, and then wherever you poke yourself, that gets infected. They're kind of a nuisance. And they breed like crazy. The only way that I know to get rid of them is to remove the rocks that they're on and kill everything on them, or to physically remove each one with like bone cutters or clippers or things of that sort. We physically remove them. It's just one of those little maintenance details. It's a pain in the butt, but it's a worthwhile activity because those things can't get out of control. And those mucus webs, they do bother corals, so it's definitely worth doing for the sake of your animals. Tattoo Ink Studio, Tattoo Craze Ink Studio, welcome. All right, 113. It's a small green Favites. We have several really cool Favites coming up. Okay, next up, we're looking at 114. This is a Scarlet and Gray Favites. He's small, but I absolutely love this particular piece because you're almost getting the perfect 50-50 split between like the red and the gray side. And this one has like the most ridiculous bright green eyes. Sometimes they don't have green eyes at all. So I definitely, just for my personal preference, I like the ones with the bright neon green, almost like that kryptonite glowing centers. And this one in particular, just like that perfect in the zone split of those two colors. Love it. Next up, another Scarlet and Gray Favites. Not quite the bright green centers as the previous one, but at least it does have green centers. And this one is a little bit more red than it is gray. Okay, next up, 116. This is a purple Favites. The centers are all pink, and the outer part of the polyp is purple. This guy's a little bit retracted towards his skeleton. Partly, I have a feeling, because of one of the fish that we have in here. We have a fox face, and for whatever reason, certain fox faces, when they get to a certain size, get really curious about new additions into a tank. And it's not that necessarily that they eat corals, but they eat new corals that they haven't seen before. So I think that some of the corals we brought from a separate system into this one, and overnight he's probably just been like punishing it just a little bit. So they see him a little bit more shrunken than usual. Okay. Moving on, 117. This is a single polyp of a mummy eye Favia. If you're very patient, you guys can grow this one out. Favia tend to be very slow growing. But again, I think that depends a little bit on whose system they're in. Certain people's tanks, they've grown it a lot faster than we have. Can't really tell you why. Maybe it's just because they're getting more TLC. Maybe they're a little admittedly neglected here. But it is possible to get them to grow faster with regular feedings and things of that sort. Probably just with a little more TLC in general. But it's a $10 frag. Moving on, for 30 bucks, you can get this guy, and it looks like he's got about 5 polyps. Yeah, there's a fox face in the back that we simply can't trust. Whenever we place some corals in there for the copper band butterfly to eat the aptasia off of, we put like a tray in there, but we have to watch it because that fox face will come over and just start eating like entire heads off of zoanthids. It's just an uncontrollable thing. And the funny thing is, there's plenty of zoas in that tank that have been there for months, and he doesn't bother. It's just the novelty of, oh, there's some new polyps here. I'm going to try sampling and tasting all of them. So, yeah, sometimes fox faces, despite being some of the absolute best herbivores, can get nibbly on new stuff. What do you think about all-in-one yanks? Spell check for the win. To be perfectly honest, I haven't ever used one. Robbie loves his. I think that they're a good space-saving design. I think the only issue sometimes is like when you have like integrated protein skimmers and stuff like that, they tend to be barely functional, to the point where you might have just been better off not having a skimmer at all and doing something different with that space, like actually have it be a part of your show tank. But yeah, I know a lot of people that do like them. I've got some ideas about. Oh, what do we want? 119 now? Yeah. This is the Event Horizon Favia. What we're going to be doing with this Pico setup that Michael's going to be setting up is to not use a skimmer at all, but to be pretty aggressive about water changes and even automating that portion of it. So we're going to be messing around with like different ways to set up tiny aquariums. Just because I know a lot of people are really into like the nanos and picos and stuff like that, and honestly, the smallest system in here is about 1,000 gallons. So I'm like the worst person to ask about that. But we'll dabble. We'll take a look. We know it's a very interesting topic for many people. Okay, so let's take a look at 120. Heading down the stretch here, sort of. Got like 30-ish to go. I'm getting like pains in my back now. All right, so item number 120 is the green eye Phavites. Moving on, 121 is one of my favorite Favias, actually. It's not the most spectacularly super colored or anything like that, but I just like stuff that has white coloration in it on purpose. So usually when you see white, that's not a good sign, something's bleaching. But this thing actually has like pastel white looking centers. Getting old. I am getting old. It's bad. 122. We talk a lot here about like weird stuff, like human growth hormone and stem cell treatment. And I'm like, if I just had money like just burning a hole in my pocket, I think I would actually experiment with taking HGH and getting stem cells just for the sake of getting stem cell treatment. Like just go to Switzerland, you know, where they're all actually doing like some baller stuff with stem cells. And just like, I just want to feel better. I just want to feel like I'm not getting close to 40 years old, you know? Just see what happens. I'm serious. I would love to see where that goes. Next up is our blue helmet fungia. So all the helmet fungias literally are kind of like cup shaped like this. So when you're placing it in your tank, you have to make sure that there isn't like a little bubble that gets trapped in there. Because if there's a little air pocket in there, it actually kills off the flesh. So you have to kind of put them in upside down first and then flip them over in your tank. Most of the other plates don't deal with that issue. Okay. Next up, number 124. It's a maroon tongue coral. Yeah, I'm not familiar with that. Regenican? Don't know. Somebody said it the best. It's like, we don't know all the different side effects that like all this HGH treatment and everything is going to be causing like down the road, but like what's the alternative? It's like you turn 60. Like there's plenty wrong with just turning 60. So how bad could it possibly be in that light, you know? Obviously I'm not turning 60 anytime soon, but like 20 years of HGH and stem cells can't possibly be worse than turning 60 on a regular schedule. So, color me curious. All right, number 125. And everybody's like putting their age into chat. How brave and daring of you. Maroon colored plate. This guy's pretty slick. For whatever reason, it's not that he's like shrunken or anything. It's really that smooth. He's had that smooth texture for months. And please ignore the coral eating fox face. All right, 126. It's a fox face. No, it's not. It's an orange plate. And see the tentacle extension? Completely different appearance. Can you place them next to each other? I don't know. I know that like of the similar types, I think we've done that. I haven't paid attention really closely to see if they were actually fighting or not. The helmets, we have those touching each other all the time. Oh, one thing that I think is interesting about this that we've noticed, we used to keep all of these guys on like a very, very fine sand bed, and occasionally we would just like lose one entirely to an infection. And my friends that are in Okinawa, when they go diving and they see like fields of fungia and tongue corals and whatnot, they say they're on like very, very coarse rubble. So we actually started to take them and put them in a section of like our bottom tanks that's just like egg crate. Like you would think that they would just die from being set on egg crate, but they did a million times better when they're on like some irregular rough surfaces. So I was really surprised by that. So now like we almost never put them on just like a super fine sand. Traffic light plate coral. So you need a green, you need a yellow. Okay, those two are easier to get. The red is the hardest. The most expensive fungia that we've ever had here, I think, was about $500, and it was red. Okay, we are moving on to 127. This is a painted trachea. I love these guys. And for the first time in a long time, we are actually able to see good coloration on stream. For whatever reason, these things had never shown up well. Like the colors got really messed up somehow, where you just wouldn't be able to see all the different colors. These things have like 5 or 6 different colors going on. They're absolutely incredible. Orthokine. I'm curious to see what that is. I bet it's like a testosterone boosting lab of some sort. I don't know. I will definitely check that out. 128 is another painted trachea. A little bit more fleshed out. Try to show the edges of it too, because a lot of times they have weird patches of color like right on their edges. Yeah, you know what's funny? Okay, so the last live sale, if you missed it, I had my friends over, and they convinced me that it was a good idea to drink on stream. So pretty much everybody here during the live stream was getting kind of tipsy. And after that, I think I got a lot of feedback that said you should never do one of these live sales sober again. So I don't know if that's necessarily great advice, but I won't be shy to admit that I might be a better human being with a couple of drinks in me. You know, some people get like aggressive drunk or sad drunk or like crying drunk. No, I legitimately turn into like a much cooler person. Okay, 129. Moving on. We have a little green elegance. We can back up the entire rig just a little bit. We're a little tight in there. What happened? Did it? Okay, so tell me, you guys, if you're experiencing any slowdowns in the stream or if it's just Michael's stream. Just hit refresh again and see if you're good. Can never tell. Okay, so let's go to number 130. That's a shame. You can't really see the difference very easily on this particular view, but the first one is a lot more green than the second one. So I guess you're gonna have to take my word that the second one is a bit more blue. It's more of like a cobalty color with almost no green in it. I guess on my screen it actually doesn't have any green appearance. So yeah, it's pretty much true to color there. Let's go to 131. And this one is, we'll call it an electric green because I hesitate to call stuff yellow when it's not really yellow. But it's getting towards that lime green border where it's almost yellow. We're almost there with this one. So and that also has a slightly higher price. And it has much more pronounced pink tips. Okay, it looks like other people are having just fine with the stream. So good, we're good. Okay, number 132. It's our smaller of two kryptonite candy canes, I believe. No, it's probably the larger of the two. Because let's go down to 133. Are you at the end? 133? Okay, good. Yeah, that's definitely the smaller of the two. I definitely like 132 more than 133 because it's a lot more fleshy. But then again, this one just might have been in the breeze a little bit. Shrunken down. Okay, we are getting there. Getting there. 134. It's like a cobalt blue Aussie Duncan. I think this one only has 2 polyps. There's no more polyps hiding behind it. Yeah, just 2. Robbie confirmed. Dennis, what sand is the best for reef with high flow? For high flow, the thing that you want to avoid is causing like a sandstorm just because of just the way the pumps work. So I would tend towards more of like the coarse stuff. The coarse stuff tends to build up a little bit more detritus though. So if it were my tank, I would actually go in there and siphon it regularly. Some people don't like to siphon their stuff. We siphon like crazy here. Almost every day if possible. Okay, next up, 135. So yeah, sometimes people have like no sand bed whatsoever. We have a combination of every type. So we have fine sand, we have coarse sand, and we have bare bottom all here. Just to see, I really don't know if there's much of a major difference I've seen. We tend to actually do the most maintenance on the bare bottom tanks as compared to ones with substrate. Okay. Moving. I want Duncans. Oh, we almost never have them here. Sellers claims too costly and not worth bringing. Duncans are mainly found in Australia, and Australian corals tend to have a huge price tag associated with it. Like, I've heard stories as to why that might be, but collectors actually are very, very highly paid in Australia, and sometimes it's not possible to go out and get them or go out and get corals because of weather. Like, you might be in like storm situations and stuff like that for like months at a time. It can be difficult. What number are we on? 136?
Yeah, that's 135, 136. Right?
Okay, so 136 is the smaller of the two, it looks like. 137, let's move on. I know somebody was asking about a Scully before, so we just have like a bright green Scully here. Is maintenance easier with substrate? Maybe. There's some tanks here that we literally haven't siphoned in about 3 years. Just leave it be. Is it good? I don't know. It's possible. It hasn't crashed yet, I guess. All right, 138. We have a blue ridge coral. So it might seem like fairly consistent on screen as to what the sizes of these things are. This guy is probably a good 5 or 6 inches across. Robbie moved the camera way back. So what kind of looked like frag size stuff before is probably about 1/16 the size of this thing. And we have to move way back because a lot of the corals coming up are substantially larger. Okay, 139. This is a purple Sinarina. It's too bad Bethany Keeler is no longer here, because she was always like huge on all these Sinarinas. Okay, next up, 140. Is a Voodoo Hologram Sinarina. Sinarina are really cool LPS. I always like them because they have that translucent quality to them. Yeah, the thing with Australia is, like, you know, the people get paid a lot, and from what I understand, like the what do you call it? The places where they're actually allowed to collect are very, very far away. So sometimes it takes like 16 hours by boat, and if there's storms out there, you just simply can't go, because like otherwise the idea is to go out there and collect for like a week at a time, things like that. So yeah, sometimes weather can totally delay collection for months and months. Fabrizio, am I late? Kinda. we've been going for about a couple hours now, but it's not too bad. Okay, let's move on to 142. 141, sorry. 141. My bad. Getting ahead of myself. It's a blood red Sinarina. There's like so many windows open. I'm sorry. I'm like checking all the different things. Did we get a Duncan question that I just missed? Yeah, we didn't see it, or I definitely didn't see it, and Michael didn't see it. So go ahead and like toss it up there again. Okay. Next up, 142. This is an Orchid Sinarina. We brought this thing back from the dead. This, like several months ago, this thing was like, I thought it was a total goner, and it's made a huge resurgent comeback. We've had this guy for like at least a couple years, I'm thinking. Yeah, I don't know where Bethany is. You know what? Seriously though, she purchased so many super large LPS. It is entirely possible her tank is just full. Like sometimes I always wonder, you know, I remember so and so, you know, bought like a ton of stuff. I wonder, you know, where have they been? And it's like, well, they bought a ton of stuff. Like even if you had like a 100-gallon tank, I'm just thinking you could potentially have filled up a 100-gallon tank with all that stuff. And assuming it grew a little bit, yeah, you're done. You're done until you get another tank, essentially. 143. So Rico's Reef, we're going to be going for another 10 corals here. There's going to be 153 total. Guys, anyone know why Turbinaria pagoda cups or pagoda polyps not opening? That sounds like something is either picking at it, or there's something chemistry related that could be the issue. Okay, so this first tricolor Oeulophilia that I'm seeing, it's really hard to pick up on some of the secondary colors. It's supposed to have a pink center, then a band of teal, and then purple at the ridges. The next one, 144, you can definitely see the tricolor pattern here much better. Say what? Oh. We'll be back to 144. My Duncan has closed all its polyps and is pushing out yellowish substance. That's not a good sign. Yeah. I haven't seen it push out yellow. Like usually if it's like spitting something out, I'm thinking it could be like zooxanthellae that's being expelled to kind of like regulate, you know, how much zooxanthellae it's packed in. But if it's yellow, I wonder if it's like infection. I personally, I've never seen it. But the fact that the polyps are closed, that's not a good sign. If it is infection, like an iodine dip might be something worth considering. But overall, I would start with just like a water change, just to make sure that like that the rest of your water chemistry is working out well for you. Where did you get this jacket? Honestly, I haven't bought clothes in so long. I probably just got it as a gift. I used to like have an office job where we'd have like tailored suits, tailored shirts, everything, and now I work in a greenhouse. So I wear pretty much whatever t-shirt somebody gave me for free. Let's see, I'm reading chat again. I have a purple tip Pacific anemone in my tank. For a while there was a large amount of space surrounding it. Would there be any issues if I stuck another one right next to it? If it's the same type of anemone, it's probably fine. But like I know that bubble tips and long tentacles would fight, things like that. So if it's like two long tentacles or things of that sort, it's probably okay. Yeah, Olga, actually, sometimes it's not even about like what you see is picking on it. Certain things are just like known pickers, whether they're you see them or not. Like dwarf angels are notorious for picking on stuff, whether you see them or not. 145. We have two bubble corals that are shrunken. 145, 146. They're not going to open by the time that this stream happens. So I wonder why they're closed. Were those moved? Who knows? Yeah, they're really upset. The first one has like maybe two and a half polyps. Second one is a single polyp. Leap of faith on those guys. There is a fox face, so who knows? All right, 147. This is a wintergreen pipe organ. Say what?
But that one's open.
Yes. Pipe organs are pretty slick. They're called pipe organs because they have a red base that actually looks like kind of like the flutes of an organ. You can appreciate it once it's dead. 148. So whoever was asking for euphyllias, here you go. These are some Indonesian varieties. So this actually is a hammer, despite the tips not looking hammer-shaped at all. Yeah, some people just keep different types of angels and they don't seem to bother anything. By the way, a golden angel is a seriously baller angel. Have you done a video on that? You should. If it's just something I missed, like a golden angel is like pretty slick. Okay, 149. Another small little hammer. The nice thing about Indonesian hammers is that they grow buds at their base, and so they reproduce very, very quickly as a result. And a pair of maroons. That maroon clown might be causing trouble. Like, maroons are notorious for messing with stuff. And they're like hyper aggressive, especially once they get larger. I think we're getting freezing rain now. So if you're hearing that in the background, you can hear freezing rain a little bit, and you can hear Robbie crying, because in his infinite wisdom, he's just wearing like a t-shirt where it's expected to snow tonight. He's a genius. All right, so let's move on. 150. He's doing well on the camera though. It's a little green tip frog spawn. I would go with option number 2, the medium flow softy tank. I haven't had good experiences with putting them in high flow. However, other people have, and again, I think it goes back to a lot of it being species dependent. It's something you might have to experiment with. I've seen both done successfully, and I've seen both also fail spectacularly. Do shots of tequila as you do the live sale. It is in the realm of possibility in the future. But like I said, I don't drink that often, guys. All right, let's move on. 151. We have snake polyps. Can we get closer to those, Robbie?
I'm gonna cap it.
Yep. We'll cap it. We'll move it closer. These are weird. Like, they come as hitchhikers. That's why they're like so kind of cheap. But they have like this weird like snake-shaped tube, and at night they have like a big polyp that comes out of the middle. People try to give me maroon clowns, and that's like one of the only clowns I just simply do not accept. They are... I'm like, I am not interested in maroon clowns at all. I'm freezing rain. There's something sad about it. I mean, like I said, I don't mind like snow and stuff like that. I'm getting better about winter. But freezing rain, there's like no redeeming qualities. It's just miserable. I hate it. Yeah, camera goes black, by the way, Jay Raker, when we cap it to move it around. Otherwise it gets too jarring for people to see. It's not a bug. What would be a bug is if we run out of battery life because I'm talking too long. Because we have been going for nearly 3 hours. Okay, let's move on to one... Okay, we have to cap it again to back way up to see this ginormous acanthophilia. I did it on purpose, Robbie. I'm testing you. So 152 is going to be the most expensive thing on this live sale, which, believe it or not, is actually at a discount. Because if it does not sell on this live sale, we're going to take a photo of it, put it on our website for more than this. But these things are spectacular. He's big and he's awesome. This is at least 8 to 10 inches in diameter. So I forget who was asking about acanthophylias, but this is really the only one that we have right now. He's got like a cool like aquamarine speckle pattern going on that kind of radiates out, and the vast majority is like this pinkish red color. So we're going to focus on this guy for a while. I'll just briefly put up this label. But item number 153 is not pictured, but it is a 20-pack. Somebody was just running back and forth. Was it dripping on the camera or something? We have a leak. So this greenhouse, it rains like inside sometimes, and so it's like raining on the camera, which probably costs as much as a car. Yeah, on average, high-end acanthophilias are between $400 to $600. So that is why this one is actually a good bargain at $400. It will not be less in the future, guaranteed. Yeah. but these are slick. So anyway, guys, any last minute questions before we wrap it up and go brave the elements on our way home? I'm glad that you guys were all able to join us. Yeah, it's another 3-hour live show. It's oh, I guess I should mention that like once we have our next set fully realized here, again, once we get that one particular tank replaced, hook up all the lights that I want, get all that situated, we're looking at expanding the capacity of this live show to like, what do we have, like about 150-ish right now. We could probably expand it to at least like 250 to 300 if we really packed it in. And I don't mind having longer live sales. Like, I am perfectly okay. We ran 3 hours this time. I have no problem going like 5 hours. And even like taking breaks to do like equipment stuff, taking breaks to do a little bit of interviews with guests, like just changing it up a little bit. So we do like 100 corals, take like a 20-minute break, talk about this, that, and the other thing. Do maybe a giveaway contest. I'm still talking to people about doing giveaways again. There's plenty of things that we can do with a much longer show format. And I know people like jump in and jump out. You know, life goes on. Imagine that on a Saturday. But yeah, in the future, I kind of expect to have longer shows. So hopefully that'll work with your schedule too. Let's see. When's the next tank feature video coming? Not sure. We're working on some things. All right. Miss Saltwater Tank, good night. Sleepy time. Breaks for beer runs. Do you do live sales twice a month? We do it once a month and some holidays when we can. So definitely once a month. Thanks for the great show. Thank you guys for attending. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, guys. Take care.